just completed visiting areas around Kingston and St. Andrew. I am now in East Rural St. Andrew on Weaves Road, which is a vulnerable community because the river empties close to it. And usually what happens when there is a heavy downpour, sand from all the way up in the hills of Mavis Bank deposits itself right here. And in the past we've had houses being covered. So we're here with the Member of Parliament, Mrs. Juliet Holness, looking at the issues. We've also visited the constituency of Mr. Paulwell, where we saw several areas where the gully walls have been challenged, and through the work of the National Works Agency and the ODPEM, we have been able to lay about 800 sandbags to protect the residents in those communities. We also visited the Sandy Gully, where we have started some work in removing silt from close to the bridge that spans Spanish Town Road. The National Works Agency is a part of the disaster management ecosystem and is a part of all planning and preparation for whatever disasters are impending or possible of this nature. We have been engaged in assessing several vulnerable areas across the island, and I can just give you a few, particularly in the KSA area. We know that there has been some conversation about McGregor Gully. We visited McGregor Gully along with ODPEM and other representatives of other agencies, and we are now using sandbags to assist where there may be the chance of flooding. The challenge, however, and it's a challenge we're facing more and more, persons who live on gully banks continue to be vulnerable whenever we have a potential rain event. And it is something that the government has been looking at and we're taking very seriously, as not only is there a risk to property, but there's also a significant risk to life, and also a risk to persons who may seek to assist these persons if a disaster takes place, meaning our first responders like the fire brigade and other emergency services. So it's not just the persons who live on these gully banks who are at risk, but also persons who are obligated to assist them in case of a disaster. The government is in the early stages of planning a solution for this problem, and the Prime Minister will announce that plan. We're also looking at Shoemaker Gully, which is also vulnerable, as well as we have started some work along the Spanish Town Bridge in the Sandy Gully. The challenge of the Sandy Gully is very peculiar. The Sandy Gully is the main drain of Kingston, and over the years, a lot of silt has developed. The Prime Minister did announce in March in his budget presentation of a significant effort will be made to do repair work and cleaning of the gully to the tune of several $1 billion. That's a capital expenditure that requires a particular process, which does take some time. But in the interim, the government continues to monitor the Sandy Gully and several sections along the gully, and also its tributaries, to see where the vulnerabilities exist, to ensure that in case of an event, we can act quickly, or we can do whatever we can in the beginning to prevent disaster.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is the primary partner with responsibility for coordinating all of the welfare activities, including shelter management, including the disbursement, if necessary, of relief supplies to victims, including doing the household damage assessments and the payment of any emergency relief assistance as necessary. Now, we are not activated because of the impending weather system. The ministry is consistently geared up towards being able to respond effectively. Matter of fact, we had our scheduled training for October 23rd and 30th around the updated JH Diner document, which is the document that we use and that we are improving in terms of gathering information from victims. And we had our meetings this morning with the leadership of the ministry and with some of our stakeholder partners to prepare ourselves as we usually do. However, given the issues ahead of us, the ministry, of course, is completely activated now with our readiness protocols, working across all of our parish offices, working with ODPEM and across government to make sure that the shelters are identified and relief officers are on standby, ensuring that our parish offices have been providing us with the updated reports in terms of resources, and that they are also resourced and our staff is resourced to ensure that we can undertake the necessary post-disaster household assessments if required. We have also ensured that our communication groups have been activated. It is important for us to be able to stay in touch, and we learned a lot of lessons in the Rebuild Jamaica effort during burial. Communication was one of our greatest challenges, and so actually this morning we are continuing discussions around communication, and we have heard from and are in touch with Starlink and other providers to assist us if necessary. We have also reached out to our partners, and the line of credit entities have been notified by our parish offices to ensure that we can pre-position food as required. I know that St. Mary and the St. Thomas teams, as well as Portland, have already started to collect food packages and relief supplies, including bedding, tarpaulins, and toiletries to prepare in case. Because again, lessons learned, if you wait too long, you won't be able to travel just in case there are any issues that cause barriers on the road. So we do pre-position, and we have started that process. Food supplies, as I said, have been collected by some of our parish offices, and our warehouse is presently engaged in food package preparation and general securing of relief supplies. This includes food items that we have secured on pallets and positioned for safety in event of flooding. Again, the flooding not only affects the homes, but it can affect our storage, and so we have that in mind. Additionally, we have reinstated the conversation around the mechanisms relating to the payment of emergency grants. This morning we had a good discussion with the lead for the World Food Programme, and we are already advancing discussions as necessary as it relates to in-kind or cash grant support from them. Again, a further to consideration as we are watching closely the development of the weather pattern. We are verifying the vulnerable groups from path beneficiaries, senior citizens, persons with disabilities, all with a view to being able to check in and contact through our social workers as necessary, and coordinating with the local authorities, councillors, community leaders, and our teams that are across the country. Emergency hotlines, of course, will be circulated to ensure quick reporting of needs and any damage. And we have ensured that we have the equipment, from phones to our specialized tablets for collection of data, and provision of specific types of gears for our team who will be required to go out there to provide the emergency supplies. Even in our contemplation is the vehicles that will be required for us to make our way around the country. So we are thinking, preparing, and ensuring that Jamaica is as ready as we can be. I want to urge every citizen to see this as a national effort, not just for the government, but preparedness requires you to have personal responsibility. So it is a time for us to make sure that we are looking around our communities to identify those older persons that might need support, those persons with disabilities that might need a hand, younger persons who might be alone, anyone in your community that is your relative, your friend, even your foe. This is the time to check in and to make sure that we are united in our effort to prepare for what can come. I want to urge you to secure your important documents, your medicines, your identification cards. These are essential in the event that we need to gather information to be able to support you thereafter. And again, lessons learned from the Rebuild Jamaica, it becomes more difficult when we don't have a way to verify your identity. So I'm asking you again to make sure that if you are in flood-prone areas, if you're in a space that we learn will be impacted by Melissa, I'm asking you to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself, protect your space, and protect your documents. As a member of Parliament for one of the areas that are risk averse, it is essential for us to ask the community members to listen for information. Without information, you're going to be in a situation that leaves you even more vulnerable. So at this time, I ask that you stay in tuned to your radios, your TV, try to get the requisite information from all of the authorized and relevant spaces like the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, so you know, if needed, where you have to go for support and what you should do to help and to contribute to this national efforts. We have learned from our past experiences, and this time, as we did during Beryl, we are acting early, before the impact, not after, to make sure that we are prepared, we are doing the assessments, and we are deploying resources where they are needed the most. Acting early will protect lives and it will minimize damage. Thank you.